Recording. So welcome guys to the recording. If you have questions, please at any point let us know in the Facebook group. Just post because I'm happy to answer them even if you're not here live. So the Red Circle Lady Business on Facebook. Please feel free to ask questions. And welcome to Your Business, Your Flow, the webinar. One of my absolute, hands down favorite things to do is present this webinar. It's my fave. So we're gonna have fun. I love teaching these. We call them master classes in the dance industry where I grew up, because you would spend like an hour or an afternoon deep diving with somebody. And it was like having a master class. It was just this opportunity to download as much information as you possibly could and as much as the time that you had. And I've always really liked that term. So I keep saying master class instead of webinar, but just so you know, they're interchangeable. Also, I love doing these things because I love getting into people's businesses. I am a community coach for a gentleman named Ryan Eliason here in the States, who is a multi-million-dollar business coach. And I've been one of his coaches for a long time, and I get to dive into about 1,000 people a year's business and get my hands on their stuff. And I love doing it. It's like my nerd time. So I really enjoy doing the business nerdy stuff. And then of course I love talking taboos and periods. So this is really like, I love this one because we get to nerd out on two of my favorite subjects. Today, we're going to talk about obviously your business and your flow. I'm going to show you some case studies today so that you can see how these things apply in a grand scheme, from somebody just starting a business to someone making 6, maybe 7 figures now, as well as completely non-business related, just so you can see a wide gamut of how things work. And the taboo around periods is a big part of the problem that we have in really being able to embrace the power that we have as women. The taboo, just for a brief refresher course, in case you don't know, is really, I credit the reason that women are in a competition state and not in a collaboration state, because, we evolved as women. Our stress response was not fight or flight. That's the male stress response. And I want you to know that in that study, they actually had women who didn't respond the same way as men. And they literally said, well, women are hormonal. It's hard to tell. We'll just consider them out of the normal, but we'll just keep them in there. Like, literally just wrote the women off and didn't think that maybe they had a different stress response. Just were like, menstruating women are hard. So women actually have a different stress response from men. We have tend or befriend. And I imagine that this becomes because as we were evolving and we were living in communities and tribes and villages, when the invading hordes or the crazy woolly mammoth or saber-toothed tiger or whatever was attacking the village, we as the women probably threw the kids in a heap in the middle and circled arms and defended them. There's also evidence that women took the children out and waded out into water where they couldn't get, like animals couldn't get to them. They base that off the fact that women have fatty tissue around their hips and thighs, because they assume that was part of our evolutionary protection when we were escaping into water to protect ourselves. The men went out and fought, fight or flight. The women tended and befriended. We knew our power was in numbers, and we knew we needed to connect, to collaborate in order to be the best, most productive, empowered, positive survival self. So we knew that we needed this. And as the patriarchy rose, one of the things that it really did well was end that trust, that sacred circle. In the 1400s, there was a book called the Malleus Maleficarum published. It was written by 2 Dominican monks, and it translates to witch hammer. And it was literally a book with pictures on how to torture women as witches, because they were witches. And it really is a handbook on how to torture somebody. And in it, it says if the woman survives the torture, to lock her up for a year and a day, to visit her on high holy days and do a special intense torture, and to keep her alive, but barely, so that you really know that she's been tortured within an inch of her life. So this went on for about 200 years, and about 9 million women were murdered. It's the estimate over this time period. And imagine living multiple generations, knowing that if you talk to another woman, you are going to be accused of having a coven, a circle, a witch circle, and potentially tortured for a very long time to death. We stopped talking to each other. It was the only way to stay safe. It was the only way to protect your sister, was to not talk to your sister. The only way to protect your best friend was to no longer be friends. The only way to protect yourself was to be in complete isolation. And it made us fully dependent on the men. It made us completely isolated. It made us fearful. It made us competitive. It made us mean. And a lot of that, I feel like, is both our ancient DNA of the stress response, tend and befriend, fighting this overlaid genetic knowledge of if we collaborate or if we bind together, then we will be tortured. And we are in this inner conflict as women, and I don't think we even know it. And this is part of why I believe wholeheartedly that ending this taboo, talking to other women about this very basic thing, will help that connection grow from a space that's not just a superficial hobbies that we have in common, or ideas that we have in common, or we both like to go to the beach or whatever, but really this unity of all women that transcends every barrier between us. And even if you're not, if menopausal or had a hysterectomy or whatever it is, we still have this common bond of that womb space, the creative, life-giving spirit that women have. And no matter where we are on the journey as women, we have this gathering. And, we used to look at the women who had moved through the Wise Woman Gate as our leaders, as the women that we really wanted to learn and know from. So we used to revere that even and invite that into the circle. So the taboo, I believe, is really causing a lot of damage for women. And I really do wholeheartedly believe that these are important conversations to have and knowledge to have, because it can transform the world in a way that nothing else possibly can. That's just my 2 cents there. So I started off this journey in high school as a woman who had horrific periods and needed to deal with that. And I went through high school taking birth control and narcotics to no avail, because the mood swings never stopped, even though I was on birth control and I was supposed to stop them. And the narcotics were supposed to stop the pain, and it didn't do that either. So I was on a lot of really heavy drugs, and neither of them worked. None of them worked. Actually, some of them were experimental and have been recalled because they caused death. Aside from that, I'm alive. Yay. And they didn't work. So all of that for nothing. But as I went through my dance career, I went to college for dance, I lost insurance because this was before Obama, and I didn't have the option of trying any more medicines. I gave up on Western medicine, which turned out to be the best thing I could have done. And I went through my dance career, started running restaurants, moved out to California, started teaching Pilates and ballet bar and yoga, but it was still having really bad periods. And it was hard to have my income dependent on being in peak physical form, right? I mean, you can't run a restaurant by sitting down, and you can't teach classes like that relaxed. So I had to be in this very peak physical form, and I still couldn't get my periods to be a manageable space. So I decided that maybe it would be better for me to figure out a career that didn't involve so much six-pack abs and more actual sitting. So I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, got my holistic health coaching certification, and actually took a lot of what I thought was really the best of a lot of different food theories and took that with years and years and decades of hormonal balance research that I had done trying to fix my own period, and overlaid them together, mushed them together, and created this way of eating that was fully supportive for the female hormonal system. This is what is now known as my FPMS course. And it is when we eat with our cycles, and it's a lot of fun to do. It's a great community. It's like hashtag food porn all the time. And it's delicious, and we have a good time in there, and it's great because it's very empowering. It gives you a lot of space to create, to be creative, to get your kitchen witch hat on, to take back that idea of healing yourself through that energy of love and food, and it reframes that whole thing in your mind. And it worked. And I had my first pain-free period of my life when I did it the first time, and I still do it 2-3 times a year. 5-6 years later, maybe more. We're not going to talk about that. But it's been a while, and it still works, and I still love it, and I still do it a couple of times a year, no matter what. And I do it with the group. We do a live round every now and then, just for fun. So after I went to IIN, I started working with clients. I started my own restaurant. I quit managing other people's and had my own pop-up restaurant. I did that a couple of days a week. And then I was teaching teachers. So I was doing the fitness training, teaching teachers, hiring, kind of running a studio, and starting my own business, starting to coach female athletes and teaching them how to eat and do all this cool stuff and all these things. And one thing they all had in common was problem periods, as did I. It turned out that as I started running my own business, I started to burn out. And I ended up having my life look a little bit like this. Totally shitty period, high school, college, and thus figuring out the happy diet change, happy me, happy period, started my own business. Oh my God, went right back to having a shitty period. And then I figured out if I pulled this all together, I knew the food, I knew how to live with hormonal balance in mind. If I just started running my business with this in mind too, everything could be easier. So rather than continuing to run my business from this very masculine push, minute by minute schedule, looking at things, going every day at 9 a.m. I'm going to do this. And then every Tuesday at noon, I'm going to have these things done. And instead of doing it from that, I started looking at my business from this much bigger perspective, a yearly, a multi-yearly, a yearly, a quarterly, and monthly. And then in it, starting to rearrange how things happened. And that simple shift of looking at things from the bigger picture, which as women, we are super good at looking at the big picture. We really see how things connect in the big time. That made all of the difference. And this whole recording that we're doing right now, this masterclass, it's going to be a lot of shifting perspectives. So shift with me, will you? This figuring out how this all happens, how this all works together is actually what brought me to Your Business, Your Flow. I started doing this with my clients. I started seeing clients with just period hormonal imbalance issues, but they all had their own businesses. And when we started running all of our businesses with Flow, and it was transformative. Marriages became happier, businesses ran easier, employees stopped needing to be fired all of the time. It was crazy, the changes that happened. So I was kind of actually stunned by how massive the changes could be after a year of doing this work with people one-on-one. So if you can dream it, if you can think it, it's totally possible. And I want you to think, like, why did you go into business for yourself? Why did you do this? It wasn't so that you could work more. It wasn't so that you could be tied to a desk for 80 hours a week instead of the 40 with benefits in another job. It's because you wanted to have an actual control and freedom to your life. And this is the beauty of the running it with flow. So here's the thing. I want you to take a step back and think about, now is the time to take your business to the next level. Now is the time to start making more money, whether you're just getting your business off the ground or you're in the seven figure lane. It doesn't matter. It works across the board. No matter where you are, when women are in flow, the world is a better place, right? So no matter what your obstacle, flow is your answer. And I want you to just think for a second, what would it be like if you and your friends were the 1%? What would the world look like if you ladies were actually the ones in charge of the money flow? Probably wouldn't be a 1%. That's like the first thing that comes to my head is like, the 1% wouldn't exist anymore. Because I know I'd have a mentoring program. I'd have women working with teens for free around the world. I'd have definitely a startup capital for women's businesses that I would just dole out. There wouldn't be a 1%, right? And I know that as heart-centered and amazing women, you are 100% thinking the same thoughts. So making more money doesn't change you. It just makes you more of who you are. And if we were the ones running the world, we'd probably have taken care of, the bullying problems of the world, the starvation, the hunger, the warfare. I suspect that if we were in charge and we were running the money flow, things would be a lot better. So instead of holding ourselves back and saying tomorrow, oh, tomorrow, next time, I'll do it next time. I'll think about this tomorrow. I'll try this later. I'm not ready. I'm not there. I'm not whatever it is. Just start. Dive in boldly and bravely, because we can't wait forever. We need you here today and now. And, not burning out like a dude, really embracing what makes you so very powerful, your period, starting now. So I love this quote, one of my absolute favorites. It's actually the background on my computer. The goal is to make the world a better place. And if we women were using this power, this period power that we have, getting into this connection, we could heal ourselves, our friends, grow our businesses, reach more people. The whole world would be a way better place. Climate change wouldn't even be a thing anymore. So stop dreaming, start doing, but in flow. All right. Okay. So here's a question that I ask commonly and often. Have you ever wondered why you're really good at things sometimes, but suck at the same thing at other times? And one of my favorite examples is writing, because it doesn't really matter what your business is. At some point you have to write. And there are days that you're like jamming out and you can't even type as fast as you're thinking. And there's other days that you're staring at a blank page going, words. I know words. I have them somewhere. Hold on. And it's simply because the hormonal balance in our brain, in our bodies, changes what we're good at and when we're good at them, which doesn't mean it makes us weaker. It just means that we have power points and we should be embracing them and capitalizing on them, optimizing our business literally with flow. So we have 4 parts of the cycle. We have the follicular, the ovulatory, the menstrual, and the luteal. And each of those 4 phases are distinctly impressive. And you're in one of those phases right now, because every day you're in one phase. So you're in one of those phases right now, which means you have a superpower, your Wonder Woman strength. You just probably don't know exactly what it is right now. So my question is, what would it feel like to watch your income grow while you're relaxing? Because you've optimized your business to have time for you, but it's still working. What would it feel like to skip the burnout? What would it feel like to skip the leveling up colds, the overwhelm, the inaction that comes from overwhelm? It'd probably feel pretty amazing. And I want you to know it's not an impossible dream. It's not for when you're more successful. It's not for other people. It's not for when. It's for right now. Boom. So today, You're about to discover how JoeSIA moved her whole house in flow, how Tash uses my system for her 6-figure business, how Natalie uses my system for her clients, and a few other case studies, but these are some of the fun ones, I think. And I promise by the end of this chat, you'll see just how much power there is in your period. Yes, I promise. Your period is a repeatable cycle, right? It happens every month. And what I'm going to guide you through today can be done every month. You can do this over and over and over again every month. If you never ever see me ever again, you can still do this every month without me. All right, so the question is, how are they doing it, right? How are these ladies applying this principle to their lives, right? We want to see it in action. We want to know it works before we spend time actually learning it. So how does it work? Well, they're using the sensual system. You are a sensual system. You have an amazing body full of senses, and all of them are there helping us get more into balance or out of balance. You are a sensual system. Use that to your advantage. Discover the best way to work for you. There are definitely things that we can say are overarching themes, but there's always something specific for you. I see this in YBYF every time. Somebody who has just this amazing, unique twist, and it works best for them this way. And it's the power of charting. It's the power of community. It's the power of having somebody there to help you see. It's hard to see the forest through the trees, as they say. You can balance your hormones, your work, and your life. We've talked about this before, how when you start to balance your business, your hormones start to get more in balance. And as your hormones start to get more in balance, your business starts to get more in balance. And then everything follows through. It's that amazing cycle. And we know that. It's like the junk food spiral. When we start eating crap, we want to eat some more crap. And then we're like, I'm just sitting there with a pint of ice cream stuffed in my face and dipping chips and eating ice cream with my chips. That's mine. That's my power. Chip scoops. So we know those cycles, right? The opposite is true though as well. There's the upward cycle. The more you get into balance, the more the hormones balance, the business balances, la, 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 la. So you can live while you grow your business. You can balance everything out while you're growing your business. That's the key, is to learn how to balance and grow at the same time. That's how we avoid the up-leveling issues, the colds, the nonsense. So we'll skip the burnout phase and we'll just become that woman that has her shit together. Easy, right? Let's just do that. I truly believe tapping into your flow equals freedom. I see it over and over again. It is a beautiful way of living life, and it really is that freedom. The reason we all got into this whole doing our own business thing, it's that freedom, and this is where it is, tapping into the flow. So why choose my system over a traditional model? Two-pronged approach, right? One is we take the business models that work, like Elon Musk, the man behind Tesla and SpaceX, and he's making a new brain mapping crazy thing that I've been reading up on. I'm completely obsessed with him. And Tash Corbin's funnel system. She's one of our bonuses for YBYF, actually, and she's going to be sharing with us her amazing business funnel. She's a 6-figure, if not now 7-figure coach. So we're looking at proven models that work, but we're letting my system take over. So we're looking at these actual proven models, and then we're taking my system, your actual creation process, the year to year, the quarter by quarter, month by month, day to day, is rooted in science systems that work, and we're basing them on you. We're taking the masculine part out and we're putting the feminine in its place. It's not saying we're eliminating the masculine. We're just putting it where it belongs, and we're adding the feminine in where it belongs. So you're a heart-centered business owner, right? You want to make a better planet. You want a kinder world. You want to make more money. Maybe you want to make more than enough. Maybe you don't want to be a gazillionaire. Maybe you do. I mean, let's be honest. Maybe you do. I kind of do. I think of like all that I could do with $1 gazillion, and I really am like, I want to make $1 gazillion. So like, be honest with yourself right here. But we want to have that consistent growth, and we want it to feel good. We don't want it to feel overwhelming, like we've lost our lives, that we can't do that amazing stuff that we want to do with $1 gazillion because we have to make the $1 gazillion, right? We want to be able to do what we want with that money, and we want to make that money so that we can do more good. So that means putting the masculine in its place and allowing the feminine to thrive, to bloom and blossom. And one of the things that we do a lot of talking about in Your Business, Your Flow, it comes up every time, is deprogramming that do, push, must be constantly working, striving, going forward, and resisting that urge and that guilt and that stress and that overwhelm. And instead tapping into our flow and seeing what we really should be doing, what's really best for our business, for ourselves. I like to say it's the sperm way of doing things, pushing upstream, or the egg way of doing things, letting it come to you. And I believe that's the difference between burnout and brilliance. Embracing the eggy, sitting back and letting what you have put out there come back to you. You need that time to rest, recuperate, see. And when you separate the body from the mind, you hit failure. So allowing the feminine in, tapping into the body, this is where success really lives. So how do we apply the central system to business, to life, to these things that you want? The case studies. So this is Laura Maria Hornsby, who has done YBYF twice with me because she's delightful and I love her. And she's just like, she's got this amazing Southern accent and she's just so fun. I love it when she's on calls. So she started off in a really horrific space of having 3-week-long periods, a week, maybe 2 off, and then 3 weeks back on. So she felt like she was never making any progress. She wanted to start a business, but she really had no idea how to even get started. Even though she knew how to get started, she had no idea how to get started within the context of this 3 weeks of bleeding, 1 week of not. So we took her obvious hormonal imbalance, fixed that, and started building the basic structure of her business, which is why she did it again. She went through it again because at that point we'd gotten through the crappy period part and we've gotten her business foundation set. So then she came and did YBYF again with us and really workshopped the next stages of her business, really got to see her flow in action and really got to get everything launched and off the ground. So she's an amazing story of just how bad it can be and how good it can get. So then Joanna Lee, who is a lovely Aussie, had kind of a similar story, except hers were mood swings. She had really horrific shifts in energy, like really just went to the dark place every month in a really big way. And she, every month, just got into this overwhelm where she just felt like there's no way I can do this. I'm completely unstable. I can't have a business. This is completely impossible for me. So she did it with us. She stuck with it. She was probably one of the most active members of YBYF to date. And she did it. She got her mood swings organized. She figured out what was going on. She learned what was trying to be told to her by her body. We got the hormonal imbalances dealt with, and we started actually spending time instead of focusing on the crazy, the business. And it became this amazing, beautiful thing that really helped fuel the forward momentum in her business. And it was just so incredible to see her go from this really dark place to such a bright, shining, beautiful soul. And then we have Natalie Bach, who walked up to me when I had a farmer's market booth one day and was like, "Oh my God, I want to be a health coach. Tell me everything." And thus we became best friends. She worked on movies. She was actually a market researcher for movies. You know why Leo won his Oscar? Because she made them change what that movie looked like. And he won that Oscar. I give it all to Natalie. But she works with female clients. She works with body issues, body shame. She does the bikini beach breakthrough every year, a couple times a year, where women who have never worn a bikini to the beach ever go and wear a bikini on the beach for the first time. And then another friend of ours, Drea, is a photographer. Sometimes I get to be an assistant. It's fun. But she works with these clients that are in a really emotional, traumatic spot. So she did YBYF for herself because of her adrenal fatigue, and she wanted to grow her business even in the space. But she started using it for her clients like immediately. Every time we would learn something, she'd take it back. She'd talk to her clients. Of course, she's very intuitive. So her clients would be like right in that space where they needed to hear what she was learning. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And she does it to this day. Sometimes she'll call me when she has a client that's going through something, and she'll be like, she's in the follicular phase. I really want to give her something really upbeat and amazing for this. Like, she really tunes into their stages so that she's giving them work that goes with their flow. So her clients feel more successful because they're getting what they need at that time, and they're not doing something that would be out of their comfort zone for that time. Like, they're not getting a go be visible assignment when they're in the middle of their luteal phase and they're completely introverted. But then they're not getting something like sit and journal in a dark room when they're in that beautiful ovulation stage and they should be really working on that visibility. She's so good now at using this for her clients' best interests, and her clients see quicker and better results. So then we have Tash Corbin, who is an Aussie business coach. She's 6 figures, maybe 7 now. I don't know. She just keeps blowing past barriers. When she was doing YBYF, her goal was to hit 50K in 1 month. That was her big goal for it. I just just screenshotted hers because she's hilarious. And I love her removing one of David's most prized body parts. She's just hilarious. So she's done it. Hopefully she'll be joining us again this time. She is giving us a bonus for this round. She's doing her business planning bonus for us this round. And maybe she'll be doing it with us too. But she's in the middle of launching an international live conference right now. Today is day 1. They're actually live right now. So we're wishing her all the best and good luck with her very first conference. She's got people flying in from all over the world for it. It's so cool. And then I just thought that you should hear this funny story of JoeSIA, who moved her house with flow. She has a little house, like a little tiny home that's a cabin that literally you pick up and move the whole house when you want to move. And she planned it out with her cycle. So when they were digging out all of the lines for the house, she was in her ovulation phase. And the guys on the job were like, oh my God, you were so badass. And, tried to hire her. And then when she went to her luteal phase, she did all of the organizing and the packing and getting the breakables down and all that kind of stuff. And then when the house was actually being moved, she was kicking it with her menstrual phase at her boyfriend's place, just kicked back, relaxed, enjoying. Something was getting done because she planned while she was just chilling out. So I thought I threw that in there because it's so good to see that this applies to much more than just business. So this is I feel like my beautiful Hall of Fame here, and I love these ladies very much. So you can see how this applies to business, to clients, to taking it a step further outside of yourself and your own business, and even into the day-to-day of your life. So let's talk nuts and bolts here. You may have seen this from me before. This is Elon Musk's strategy here. And this is something that we dive into in YBYF. And I grabbed the screenshot from waitbutwhy.com because it's amazing. And this is something that we're going to do a little overview here, and then we're going to dive into how to use this for your period, because this is our deep dive. So you see the little circles that reflect in action, adjust in action, learn, keep up, adjust. These are actually the best things to do during your menstrual phase. It's an amazing spot, this strategy, because during your period, your hormones shift your brain. Your left and your right hemisphere, the synapses are firing the most between these two hemispheres. So you have this really amazing ability to look at things objectively from the big picture. Back in the red tent days, this is when women would come together. They would actually talk about what the village, the tribe, what they needed to do next. And they would come back with the message for the village of what they would be doing next, where they would be going next, how they would be living, solving problems, right? So we knew even way back then that this was the perfect time for women to look at the big picture. And this is the perfect time to do that for your business, just as it was for the tribe, to be the guides of the tribe. So it's a great time to reassess your business, see what's working, see what's not working. And You know how during PMS, you know exactly what you don't want? You're really good at knowing what you don't want. Using this power for good means you can start flipping that, like I said earlier, shifting the perspective and seeing what you really do want. So flipping that script. And honestly, isn't that really just a better use of your time and energy and emotion? So your brain is built, as I said, for this power. And we're going to talk about the power of your menstrual phase here, because I think it's one of the most powerful points for your business. And it's one of the most underestimated times for your business. And just see what worked, see what didn't work. And it's okay. It's all, we do that in our business because that's part of a business model. We go, this marketing worked, this marketing didn't. But we don't think about doing it every month during this time when we're really so good, and really looking at, again, at the big picture and the little stuff. I mean, yes, if you just did a launch in your next period, you should go back and look at that launch and see what worked and see what didn't work, and look at the marketing and look at the numbers and look at all that stuff, because you're in that great space. But you should also be connecting into your big why and looking at your business in that big perspective as well. And we want to, make those adjustments as we need to. So let's dive into the menstrual phase. Remember, as a woman, changing your mind is your birthright. So using this menstrual phase to readjust, course correct is absolutely your birthright. And we're going to do as much as we can here in the menstrual phase as we can for a little masterclass here. So this is the month of menstruation, right? We've got the 4 phases. The top right corner there is the menstrual phase. And yes, it's the winter phase. Yes, it's that water phase. It's that deep, dark energy. It's the new moon. And you probably are expecting me to tell you to just take time off and go sleep and relax and be chill. And you can totally do that if you want. But you're missing out on some really good magic. You may also notice that I don't put the dates of these things on here, like day 1 or day 5 or anything like that. And that's, it's because it's a very masculine perspective to put dates on these things. And I'm not a huge fan of that. And then here is the same concept with the menstrual phase, right? So we have the same thing. And again, there's no dates on here because there's no real right or wrong. And I don't want you to feel like you're wrong if you're not menstruating on day 1 or day 2. Not menstruating, ovulating on day 14 or something, because that's what you're supposed to do. So actually, let's go back to that one for a second. This is really great because you've got some ideas. There's some things that you can do, and you can actually right now, what phase are you in? What can you be doing for your business right now? Right? So it doesn't matter where you are in your cycle. You can do something in tune at the moment as it is. So, all right. The menstrual phase. Oh, Meredith just said, I'm ovulating and I think I booked 2 new clients. Yes, that is it. That's that getting some time. Way to go. Yes, I love that. That's so good. So we know that the menstrual phase can be really powerful. We saw that JoeSIA had her entire house moved during her menstrual phase while she kicked back and drank tea. So we know that there's real power in this phase. It just takes some planning, right? So our menstrual phase is pretty freaking exciting. And I told you about the way I want just keep this in mind. Your hemisphere, the synapses are firing the most between the left and the right. That means you've got your creative and your logical brain on fire together, on fuego. The winter of your year, the yin energy, your destructive side. This is what we're underestimating, right? We know all of the light, fluffy stuff, but we are underestimating our destructive potential of the menstrual phase. And here's the thing. We as women have this desire to blow shit up from time to time. Not like, boys lighting stuff on fire, blow shit up, but like we just want to get rid of crap. Sometimes we just run through the house throwing everything away. We have this like destructive side. Oh, yes, exactly. Meredith just said most destructive on our relationships, right? Like we pick a fight for absolutely no reason. We just want to blow some shit up. That's because we're denying our destructive side. We're not doing the shadow work. We're not going into the dark side. We're not getting in tune with that destruction. And when we can actually look at it as a productive thing, just like winter, everything dies, we let it go. But it's what it's doing is building the nourishment for spring, right? And that is exactly what we need to do is we need to get rid of the excess, because continuing this excess is just going to cause overwhelm, adrenal fatigue, drainage, burnout. We're going to be done, wiped. So we need that destruction time. We need to get rid of the crap. Here's why the menstrual phase is so important. Because you have this really cool ability to see the bullshit, to go, this isn't working, this is not connected, this isn't part of the plan, I got super sidetracked here, this isn't what my business is about, I'm doing this because I think it's going to work, but it's really not what I want to do. You start seeing all of these excuses and you can let them go. Let that shit go. That's where the real power of the menstrual phase is. And this is why I really love it when women, even when they're in a great flow and things are going really well, stop and take a look and see, is there anything else that I can get rid of? Can I declutter my inbox? I don't care what it is. Is there something else that can be just destroyed and gotten rid of? What can you let go? What can you release? Old ties, anything. But what can you get rid of? What can you write down and take to the fire and burn? What can you destroy? What can you get rid of? And this is where you'll see the most consistent, amazing growth in your business, because you'll be consistently getting rid of the distractions and you'll be constantly on message, on brand, on tune, doing the stuff that really is part of your cycle. Okay, and the last thing I want to say about the menstrual phase is this is the why phase. I have a system that I teach in YBYF called What Would Hermione Do? Each letter is a part of the phase, why. So it stands for what, why, how, do. But Hermione is just amazing, so I use her. But the why is the menstrual phase, because we're really good at answering the why question. Why? Why am I doing this? Why is this coming up? Why am I seeing this message over and over again? This is the why phase of your cycle. You're very good at answering that question. So if you do nothing else and you get nothing else from this masterclass with me, if you just spend a little time in your menstrual phase every month journaling around the question why, I will feel like mission accomplished. So feel free to do that. So love your PMS. Instead of pissed off, moody, and stressed, plan your month strategically. This is how we, again, reframe some things that are out there. This is we're reframing all day today, just tons of reframing. So we're flipping PMS on its head and making it something pretty amazing. And we're going to leave those period problems in the dust. So first of all, I want you to know PMS is not normal. It's common. It's not normal. Just because 80% of women suffer from PMS or some kind of period problems does not mean that we should be. Does not mean that that's just part of being a woman. It's not a curse. It's not just part of life. So it's common, but it's not normal. So I just wanted to put that out there first and foremost. Second of all, tapping into your vision, right? So during your menstrual phase, tap into your vision. What's your life vision? What's your life goal? What are you really working for? And is that related to your business? Are you connected? Are these two things connecting? And every month during your period, you're specifically suited to do just that. Be logical, be creative, connect the dots. And that's it. Are you doing that every month? Are you taking that time to connect the dots each month? This is where we were talking about earlier. A lot of YBYF is just reprogramming and deprogramming the stuff that we think we're supposed to be doing and the stuff that we think we have to have, and really spending some time connecting the dots in a really authentic way for us. So, of course, joining Your Business, Your Flow is an amazing way of reframing your PMS, of course. Premenstrual versus central phase, where is the difference? Okay, that's a good question. Meredith just tried to clarify that and spelled it really wrong. So premenstrual phase, so the luteal phase, which is the phase before your period, is actually 2 weeks. And there's two distinctive hormonal shifts in that phase. There's the crash from ovulation, and then there's another rise of hormones, and then it goes down again. It's during the second rise that we see PMS, because this is when, if we have a hormonal imbalance, this is usually when the estrogen spikes crazy high and it's not supposed to. And since we're not releasing an egg, our bodies doesn't have the right ratio going on. So this estrogen hits and we don't have the progesterone that we need. And we end up in crazy town because that estrogen is way up there and it's got nothing if it was ovulation would be helping it out. It's just all up there in crazy town. So that PMS symptoms that we get, and I see this in business women as just like, I need to do a whole new website, or I'm in the wrong target market, or I need a new client avatar, or I need a new certification, or it's like this complete lack of self-esteem or confidence, freak out. So even if it's not mood swings and bloating and the normal PMS symptoms, I see this in business women in their businesses a lot. And this is just that business imbalance. It's that out of whack space. I need a reminder of those freak out systems. I do that. Yeah. In fact, I have a graphic on my website that is I'll have to share it in the Facebook group again, or on my page. It's the symptoms of PMS, and a couple of those are business symptoms, because I see that in business women probably more often than just like mood swings or fatigue or whatever. We have these freakouts, and it's almost always, every time someone in business does it, I go, when's your period due? And they're like, like in a week. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's so predictable. It's crazy. So yeah, that's the difference between premenstrual and the menstrual phase. And actually in the premenstrual phase, because our hormones are doing this second little thing, it's a really good time to wrap stuff up. So instead of like, I'm going to redo my entire website today, maybe just wrap up the project you were working on in the first place. Don't let the freak out hijack your business, because that's what ends up happening. You spend 2 weeks now doing some project that's crazy town, and then you've lost 2 weeks of your business life. Okay, so YBYF, your business, your flow. You've gotten some really good examples. You've seen what it can be like on the inside, and that's just the surface of what we were able to do in a masterclass. So I'd like to invite you to join me in YBYF. These are some of the amazing things that you'll be getting in there. We're going to kick off with a one-on-one call. You, me, your hormones, your business. There's no time limit. Ask as many questions as you want. They average on 90 minutes, but like I said, I have no time limit. I put a big buffer on my scheduling so that you got lots of time. We have a private Facebook group, of course. You get the Charting to Clarity and Confidence course. And this is what you'll be doing in September. It's 4 super short videos just to gather data. So while the early bird ends soon, and I'm going to extend it for 24 hours for you ladies here on the webinar, but that's it, and watching the replay. But the doors close on September 12th. So the sooner you get in there, the more data you can start putting together. So the charting course is there for you to gather data. And then in the end of September, we'll kick off with the quarterly planner. So you'll get my quarterly planner, you'll get the charting book, you'll get the course. You'll have all of that time of September to gather the data you need for that. And then our first kickoff call, live group call, will be planning the last quarter of this year so that we can move through it in your business, your flow, so that we can actually apply as we go, because there's no better way to learn than doing. So we'll actually be moving through your quarterly planner throughout the last 3 months of the year in the course, and you'll be applying as you learn. And we have live Q&A calls. We'll have content calls. It'll be a lot of fun, in fact. I want you to know that this is not for you if you want a pill to pop, or if you want just something to follow that has no personality or unique to you stuff. So just throwing that out there. This is for anyone who's ready to jump in, to have some support, to laugh, to make some jokes, to hear some ridiculous mom jokes from me. and have some fun. And if you're ready to actually take your business to the next level or get into flow, make your life easier. And even if you're in that startup state, doesn't matter. As long as you want to keep adding in, adapting, and trying new things, you're going to have a great time with this. So I'm throwing some testimonials up here for you because you don't have to take my word for it, as they say. You can read them yourself. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But I do have to say, Isabel is perimenopause when she did this. So just throwing out there that she did this through perimenopause. We made her perimenopause transition as smooth as it possibly could be because we did the same hormonal balance stuff I would do with anyone else with her. We really got that through for her. And she was able to apply this really, really well, even in perimenopause. So don't think that you have to be in like a perfect period 28-day rhythm for it to work. The best part about it is that by doing this and working within flow, you will get more of a stable, reliable period. And even if you're in perimenopause, you'll see your patterns and be able to see that energy shift. And Katie Gridley, oh my God, she's done this with me, and she's probably one of my biggest cheerleaders in the world. She sends me messages just to tell me how awesome YBYF is, and she's excited for the new girls, just like out of the clear blue sky. I love her. And then I had to put Tash's thing up here because there's nothing like having a six-figure coach testimonial in you completely out of the clear blue sky on Facebook. And then Mitley, who's joined, she's going to be one of the alumni in the group. She just joined. She's doing it again with us. And I'm a guest mentor for her group because it's adorable and amazing. And there's bonuses. There's always bonuses. One of them is actually the chocolate bonus. The woman who makes these bonuses, Beth Ann Wanamaker, lives in California. She makes literally chocolate for women, and she does a bonus for us on how to pick chocolate for women. So you can go buy chocolate that's totally guilt-free because she tells you what to buy and how to pick. And then we also have a bunch of other bonuses, of course, that are pretty freaking amazing. So this is the early bird. Like I said, it ends tonight at midnight, but I'm going to extend it for those of you on the webinar. You go to that link there below and you'll have the ability to join for the next 24 hours. And that also means you get the extended payment plan. So you see the payment plan there is $133 a month for 5 months. If you wait to after 24 hours, it goes to 4 months because you lose September and you lose August rather. And so it'll go up to $222 per month for 4 months. So jump in, do the early bird. Believe me, you're smart. $200 off, of course, right? And don't freak out because there's a 30-day money back guarantee. And I don't start it when you buy. I have been ripped off that way before. It starts when the course starts. So you can actually get a full third of the program under your belt, see what's going on, see if it works for you, and decide what you want to do. And you'll still get the 1-hour call with me because that's before we even start. So that's just how confident I am in this program because I know it's awesome and no one's ever asked for my money back. But I want you to feel good. So join our circle. We've already got a woman from Finland. We've got a couple from Australia. We've got a couple from the States in there. We're a worldwide circle. Join into our amazing circle around the world. I've started sending out Women Who Run with Wolves as one of your presents for when you join. And I found a place to ship in Australia. So I'm pretty impressed with myself right now. So, the sooner you get in, the sooner you get your book and we can get started. Head on over to theperiodcoach.com/YBYF and jump in. Yeah? Yes. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hopping in there, Meredith. Thank you, Lila, for coming as well, who was our big winner. And I am super stoked to talk to her. And as I said, questions, please feel free to ask. I am here to answer them. I'm happy to help. You can throw them up in the Red Circle Lady Business Facebook group. You can email me if it's something that if it's something financial and you want to talk to me about money or whatever. Do feel free. Stasha@theperiodcoach.com. Email me. Let me know. I'm here to help. Okay. All right. I love you. I will see you on the inside. Ovary gang. Ovary gang. Gang signs.